Today we're reviewing the Red Cathedral expansion, Contractors. I'm Mark Maya, and this is Board Game Coffee.
Vincent, get back here this instant! Oh,
Thank you. Oh, I love you too. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. Thank you.
Contractors is an expansion to the 1 to 4 player game Red Cathedral. Now, I've already reviewed the Red Cathedral base game, and spoilers, I liked it. But hey, don't take my word for it, just click here and, take my word for it. Anyway, in this video, I'm just going to focus on the new things that Contractors brings to the table. Okay, so first off, one of my gripes about the original game was that there wasn't enough variety, specifically when it came to the different guilds. Well, that issue has been addressed, and I couldn't be happier with the results. Well, I could, but we'll get to that in just a bit. In the original game, there were 4 guilds. 5 if you include the promo Thieves Guild. And each of those guilds had 3 cards to choose from, but the variance between them got rather samey. But now, Devier has added 10 new guilds with 3 cards each, bringing us to a total of 30 cards that offer a greater variety of abilities than the original guilds. And I dig it, man. This is fantastic. You could have just packed these in a neat little box, called the expansion the Red Cathedral Guilds, and I would have been happy. It would have easily been one of those must-have expansions, like Prelude is to Terraforming Mars. When I first saw all these guild cards, I was like, wow, think of all the possible combinations. But there's not as many opportunities for combo variations as you might think. 'Cause, well, here's the rub. The rulebook states that to play with these new guilds, you must continue to use the Merchant, Craftsman, and Teamster guilds from the base game, and only swap out the Clergy. But all the new stuff. Now, I'm sure there's a reason for this decision. Maybe adding 4 new guilds all at once would introduce some game-breaking behavior that would ruin the experience. I don't know, and I'll probably never know. And why? Because I'm a stickler for the rules. And if the rules don't say that I can fill the market with all new guilds, then I won't. And I didn't, and that makes me a little sad, because I want to play with all these guilds. But I would have to play the game 30 times to experience all the things that these cards can do. And I'm going to tell you right now, as a board game media professional that has to play a lot of board games, that ain't going to happen. What I want to do is mix and match the guilds, get crazy with the combos, play God, if you will. Maybe I'll have the jewelers next to the wholesalers. They hate each other. And then just for kicks, maybe the archivists will show up acting all superior with their personal stack of contract cards, looking down on the lesser deckless guilds. And the lawyers? Don't even get me started on the lawyers. My cousin Sally told me that Uncle Jim's college roommate saw a lawyer swapping resources with the head of the Jewelers Guild, if you know what I mean.
They didn't.
They did.
No.
Yep. But, as fun as it sounds to play Marketplace Matchmaker, I'll never do it. Because as I said, it's not in the rules. Ipso facto, we have all these great guild card mechanics stuck in this bottleneck situation. Like drinking a really thick milkshake through a skinny little straw. Because while it's still good, I want more of it, faster. Now, you need to understand that the reason I'm disappointed is because I really like the new guild cards, and if I didn't, I doubt I would care as much as I do. The new guilds add a bunch of new abilities, some of which even add new components, like the Archivist, who has a deck of contract cards that act like separate little goals for you to achieve and earn more points. Or the Jewelers that introduce diamonds that can be used as a wild resource. Or the brickmakers with their reinforcement tiles that you can use for a bunch of different stuff. And the other guilds do things that are just as interesting, for the most part. So, in short, the guilds add great content, but are locked behind a drip feed system that slows down my enjoyment of that content. I mean, you could just home rule it. Sure, that might break everything, but maybe that won't matter. But you know what? That's enough about guilds. Let's move on. Another thing Contractors introduces...
Is it contractors?
Not yet, we're getting there. Is this black market die that works like a white die, meaning anyone can pay to move it further when performing a market action on their turn. It even has its own slot in your workshop. Where did that... I swear it was right here. Oh, right. You're also getting a workshop upgrade. There it is. Now, as you can tell by this stabby, pointy shape, normal tiles don't really fit in here. That's where these come in. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. You'll also notice that a new basic action and new optional action have been added to your arsenal of possible actions that can be done during your turn.
Is this the contractor part?
Almost. The new optional action allows players to spend a prestige point to earn themselves a permit, which they can hold up to 6 here.
And the permits are for the contractors?
Yes, Britt, the permits are for the contractors.
Nailed it.
The actual contractor portion of the contractors expansion adds a lot. I mean, you get these wooden little contractors that you can send out to recruit specialists, which are represented by these pointy little pieces of cardboard, and you got these big old tiles that sit above each tower that indicate which city will score you big. To accommodate for the new stuff you can do, the Contractors expansion has increased the number of available actions you have to choose from on your turn. Now, instead of choosing one of 3 actions to take, you get to choose from 4 possible actions. Now, as a basic action, you can send a contractor to Moscow or one of its surrounding cities, assuming they aren't closed for the day. The cost to send a contractor to one of these cities is paid in permits equal to the number of contractors already there, plus yours. So in this case, it would cost you 3 permits to send your little wooden person to Moscow. Now, when I was first reading how this map works, I couldn't help but be reminded about that little map that was printed on the board of the Viticulture expansion. Both act as a place to send your workers for a temporary boost with the potential of a bump in your score based on their placement. And in that regard, this has a lot in common with that. Now, although I don't have a preference of one system over the other, I do think that the larger Red Cathedral application of this side map had a greater impact on the outcome of the game. But not at first. And that's only because we weren't using it to its full potential. We were stuck in our old ways. Allow me to explain. You see, in the base game, your focus was build the cathedral and have more presence on it than the other guy. And it kind of still is. But this time around, your focus is split between sending contractors to this new map and completing portions of the cathedral, with the market still playing its part to support both. I mean, you don't have to split your focus, but if you play it right, there is some huge point-earning potential here just waiting to be taken advantage of. Before, when you finished a tower, nothing really happened. It was just another completed portion to flip. Now, when a tower of the cathedral is complete, you'll take this little marker and place it X side up on the matching city. Then, each player in that city counts up their contractor meeples and multiplies it by the number of banners that they have on the tower that was just completed, and earn that much in prestige, which are the bigger point values indicated by this golden pheasant. I mean, 4 contractors times 4 banners is 16 prestige. That's huge. And what's huge-er is that it triggers for all players with contractors in that city, regardless of who built the last bit of the tower. So, if you're not playing the contractor to city game, you might find yourself left behind in the scoring department. Or not. We'll circle back to that in just a little bit. Other than scoring a boatload of points, sending contractors into cities also allows you to take one of these 2 cardboard ninja stars adjacent to that city. Unless it's Moscow, in which case you can take whichever ninja star you like. These cardboard tokens represent specialists, and for the low cost of 2 rubles, you can place your specialist in the black die slot of your workshop. Now, these spiky specialist tiles work pretty much like your run-of-the-mill non-spiky variety, as in when you move the black die during the market phase, you get to trigger the ability depicted. But unlike their square cousins, these tiles only trigger once, then are taken off the board and stored tool side up. And if you keep doing that and collect yourself a set of different tools, you score based on the number of different tools you have in that set, which is indicated here. So yeah, like I said earlier, there's a lot of scoring potential tied to this new map. But here's the thing. If you're playing with, let's say, a group of 3 people, and one of those people, let's call him Chris, forgoes this entire side of the table and is stuck in that base game mentality of just build the cathedral and screw everything else, he could very well f up the whole expansion experience for everyone at the table. Because, you see, the end condition of the game hasn't changed. It's still triggered when a single player builds 6 parts of the cathedral. So if one person is racing to the finish on the cathedral and you're over here dilling around on this new map, then you're gonna miss out on the cathedral portion, which still drives the majority of the endgame score. So in response, you and everyone else at the table turn your focus on the tower as well. Because how much is it gonna suck if one player finishes all their cathedral bits and you spend all your time and resources over here on the map on a strategy that isn't going to pan out because Chris is a dick and forced the end of the game while everyone else was still trying to have a good time? I'm sorry, I lost my cool.
No, I agree. Chris is a dick.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that, in my experience, if one person presses for a quick end to the game by just focusing on the cathedral, it tends to draw everyone else's focus in the same direction, pulling everyone away from the reason they came to this expansion in the first place. And I don't know how to deal with that. I mean, I really enjoy Red Cathedral, and I like this expansion. I would even go as far to say that if you already own Red Cathedral and like it, you should get this, because it's good. But it does come with its own set of frustrations. Is it possible I was playing something wrong? Maybe, maybe not. But even with its faults, I still really like playing Contractors. And I think you will too. Thanks for joining us. If you like this video and you want to see more, subscribe to our channel. It's the best way to keep up to date with everything we do here at Board Game Coffee. But if you want to see more right now, we got plenty of videos to choose from. And if that's not enough, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Mark Maya, and this is Board Game Coffee. And remember, have fun, keep gaming, be social. See you next week.